All praise to the Most High Creator of all things. Praise to the ancestors who left us some best practices. Condolences to those who are bereaved. Blessings to those plagued with violence, with fires and storms. Those who don't have gainful employment. Those who don't have money to pay for the things that you need. No honey, nowhere to lay your head, no toilet, no transportation, no occupation, no education, no visitation. I pray that the Creator would touch the hearts of those who are controlling the resources to share as Jesus taught, freely you have received, freely give. Hello, it is Saturday, August 19th, 2023, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Welcome to Church Talk Unlimited with James Paul Berry. Thank all of the subscribers and supporters in Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, Chicago, Oregon, and California, and all other places represented. I am thankful that you're here, and I'm honored that you've taken the time to stop by to see what is going on here. I know there are a lot of things going on around the earth, and you could be there instead of here, so I appreciate it. I appreciate your prayers, your kind words, and your good thoughts. Today, our topic is judge not that you be not judged. Matthew chapter 7, verse 1. We're going to go down through Matthew chapter 7 and just talk for a short while on the subject, judge not that you be not judged. When I have heard this topic discussed or preached about or taught about, it was taught about usually in the sense of don't condemn me if you don't want to be condemned. And I certainly believe that that is a part of this. Definitely, condemnation is a part, but not so much that if I don't condemn you, I won't be condemned. But the way I condemn, according to my understanding of the Bible, is also going to be looked at. Judge not that you be not judged. And since on this channel, my primary objective is to fight for those who are poor, especially those that are Black and poor in the Black church. That's one of my prime objectives. So when I'm talking about judge not, I'm asking all of us to look at those who are poor and judge as if we were those and they were us, and see if we would come up with the same results. According to Webster's New World Dictionary and Thesaurus, the second edition, to judge is number one, to hear and to pass judgment on or in a court of law. Number two, to determine the winner of a contest or to settle a controversy. Number three, to form an opinion about. Number four, to criticize or to censure. Number five, to think or to suppose. Matthew chapter 7, verse 1. Jesus said, and this is the New International Version or translation, do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. I don't think our world will ever stop talking about the color of skin, the importance or the light thereof. But I don't think there's anyone who is willing to accept that whatever you determine by looking at my skin, it's okay. But yet we continue to do it. But what about poverty? The way we look at poor people. Many times it seems that we have become so accustomed to seeing people who are poor. I'm not talking about poor in the sense that we're getting by, but barely, but people who are no longer getting by, that it has become normal to us. And we make the distinction between those who have and those who don't have, that those who don't have, it's their own fault. The dictionary and thesaurus says to judge is to hear and pass judgment on somebody, or to determine if they are the winner or loser, or if there's a controversy going on, we form an opinion about this, or we criticize, or we can censure, or think or suppose as we make judgments. We know we all have to make judgments. In our everyday life, we have to make judgments. But I would like for us to consider the poor, and consider the poor today. I was talking to Brother Walker earlier today, and we were talking about there have been poor people in the churches as long as we've been alive. My grandmother used to give me a dime or a nickel or a quarter to put in church over 65 years ago, and people are still giving money, and yet there are people in these churches who are barely getting by. Judge not, that you be not judged. As you take in all of this wealth, this money, and you stack it away in these banks and use it for yourself and for your friends, judge not, that you be not judged. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 2 says, the way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. I am a firm believer in what goes around comes around. Jesus says, whatsoever man doeth, that shall he also reap. I believe that. So then, judge not, that you be not judged, because just because you are doing very well on Saturday, it doesn't mean you'll be doing very well on Saturday night or Sunday morning or beyond. Matthew 7, verse 3. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? We are all brothers and sisters in this present world. We don't act like it, but we are, by sense of we are human. But then to the church, why are we so critical of what's going on in the lives of others, when in reality it's nothing but a speck in comparison to what's going on in our lives, because we claim to be the light of the world that Jesus taught about in Matthew chapter 5. If so, judge not, that you be not judged. Don't make decisions and think that the world is so stupid and so dumb and so unchurched that they can't see that we don't practice what we preach. That we criticize those who are in the news, but there are some ungodliness that goes on that the news don't cover that is behind the church doors. Judge not that you be not judged. How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? Come over here and worship with us. Come over here and be baptized. And people get over there after being baptized. And when they need you the most, you turn your back on them, or you turn partly away from them by only doing partly of what they need. You hypocrite. This is what Jesus said. And a hypocrite is a pretender, a person who pretends to love everybody in the church. Now, I don't believe you can say you actually love somebody you don't know anything about, but if you got somebody in the church with you, your congregation, people that you have grown up with in this church, you've been together with each other for over 50 years, and you've been pretending that you love each other for 50 years, Jesus says you are a hypocrite. When you look at those who are in need and you make the decision that it is their fault that they are in need and they should get themselves out of the situation they're in, especially preachers and leaders, but when you are in need, you don't have to worry about it. You can go to the elders and to the deacons and to the board and get what you need, so you don't make the same judgment for yourself that you made for the poor. Judge not that you be not judged. How can you say to your brother, let me help you with your problems, and the church won't take care of its own? Verse 6, Matthew 7. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. And this is quite evident in the world of religion. Religion has been used to do more to harm people than just about anything I know, because religion messes up our minds. We listen to people make judgments from pulpits that are wrong, and we know they are wrong, but we just groan under our breath and shake our heads and go on. And after 30, 40, 50 years of hearing nonsense, it's easier to swallow because we normalize it. Matthew 7, verse 7, judge not that you be not judged. Matthew 7, verse 7, Jesus says, ask and it will be given to you. Now, I've been hearing this practically all of my life. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. And I believe that. And whenever I heard this, I was so enthusiastic about asking God in the name of Jesus for the things that I wanted and the things that I needed. And Jesus answered why in the next verse, verse 8, Matthew 7, 8, for everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks the door will be opened. So I grew up as a child believing that if you ask God in the name of Jesus for what is right, you will get it. When you knock, that door is going to be open. When you ask, you're going to get the answer you was looking for. And when you seek, you're going to find. And when I became a member of the church, I really believed those things. But there were times when I knocked and the door was not open, but I realize now that it wasn't because of Jesus, it wasn't because of God, it's because of the leaders of these organizations that are supposed to represent Jesus and supposed to represent God. Matthew 7, 9. Which of you, If your son asks for bread, we'll give him a stone. Or if he asks for a fish, we'll give him a snake. If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets. Those of you who are in charge of the money that belongs to the church, you say it belongs to God. You say it belongs to Jesus, who is the head of the church. And Jesus says, in everything, do to others what you would have them do for you. For this sums up the law and the prophets. In other words, you can't do wrong if you do to other people what you want other people to do to you. Well, preachers, particularly preachers, if you were about to lose your house, would you want the brethren to step up and help you to save your house? If you're about to lose your wife, your spouse, your family, would you want the brothers and sisters to step in and help you in whatever way they could? If you needed a job, if you needed more education, would you want the church to step in and assist you? But when you make your judgment about those that are poor in the church, those who you know are much more poorer than you are, I encourage you, judge not, that you be not judged. And if you've been around for at least 10 years preaching, you know that you can lose your position just like anybody else. How would you like to be treated if it was you? Verse 13 of Matthew 7, enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it, because on the narrow road, you really have to love people for real. You can't just say, I love you, but you must prove. John says, love not in word, but in deed and in truth. Verse 15, watch out for false prophets, false teachers. They come to you in sheep's clothing. And you know, I was thinking when Mama used to make lye soap, and she was used what they call potash. It was poison, and it had a picture of a man in a red suit with a trident, and with a tail, with a forked tail, and we learned to call that the red devil. But the red devil doesn't look like that. The red devil is attractive. The red devil walks around with a Bible under his arm, or a Quran, or some other book that is supposed to be helpful to the community. The red devil walk around with signs talking about Black Lives Matter and other things of that nature, and then turns around and makes a judgment to bless their lives and their friends and leave those who are hurting the most outdoors. Judge not, that you be not judged. Watch out for false prophets. This is what Jesus is teaching. Are there any false prophets anymore? Was Jesus talking to everybody else but us, but me? Over 2,000 years ago, approximately, this is what Jesus was teaching. Watch out for false prophets. He said they come to you in sheep's clothing, and we know sheep are very kind, easy to get along with, but he said inwardly, they are ravening wolves. They come with you all dressed up and looking good, but inwardly, they come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. How do you know that? Jesus says, by their fruit, verse 16, you will know them, you will recognize them, because what they do does not add any benefit to your life. All they do is talk for 50, 60 years. And when you count up, what did this person help me to achieve in my life other than talking to me about something that I already knew about? And if it's all about faith, what value is it? If you can't prove it, what value is in it? Jesus says, by their fruit, you will recognize them. If you sit under me preaching and I'm teaching you to love some people and hate the other ones, to hang out with people who got money but not those who don't have money. You'll know me by my fruit. Those who sow discord among the brethren is something that the Bible says God hates. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Likewise, verse 17, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. And if a man is preaching in a church, or a woman leading a church for 40 or 50, 60 years, and they have become rich, while the other folks have to hustle every day of their lives until now, but the preachers are getting rich, I think that you are able to see that this person has not bear the good fruit because they have not been fair. Every tree, Jesus says, that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by their fruit, you will recognize them. I know we don't want to call out our brothers and sisters. We don't want to call out the preacher and say the preacher doesn't practice what he preaches, but we say it behind his back. We say it to our most closest friends that you know he's not right in what he said or what he did or how he did. Well, if you were in danger that the Creator, regardless of who the Creator is, I know we don't have the accurate description, but we know there's somebody who's keeping this world from being totally destroyed, even at this present moment. There's some power keeping us from all killing each other or doing something harmful to each other. There's something that's causing the majority of us to want to do the good, right thing. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. And I know the Bible says it's God. Another book says it's this. Another book says that. But it's something. But what are we going to do with that? Jesus said, judge not, that you be not judged. Until the next time, I wish you love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice. You may still contact me at email if you like. You don't want to put your chat in public. You can email me your thoughts at theoriginalchurchtalk@gmail.com. You may leave me a comment in the comment section of videos that I've already posted, or you may leave me a comment in the live chat. Until next week, God willing, I will be praying, and I hope you will too, but you know we got to do more than just pray. And to those of you who listen to me and you hear me talking about helping the poor, and you've been giving money to these churches for 50, 60 years, I'm not trying to make you feel guilty because you've done your part and more, because some of you have given money in contributions and tithes and pledges. And then when the leaders come and ask you to take up a collection, you give that too. So I'm not trying to make you feel guilty. I'm trying to make the leaders feel guilty because they're sitting on money that they've taken up from you for years. And if you add all those years together, imagine you've been going to church for 50 years. Everybody in your family, all of your parents, grandparents, everybody's parents in the church and grandparents, hundreds of people have gone to that church at least 50 years. So you got 50 years times maybe 1,000 people or more who have been giving money to this church, but the church never invites you, the members. I'm not talking about strangers. I'm not talking about people who pull tricks, but I'm talking about the poor members are never invited to come to the church and let us know what you need. Well, we can't do that. Why not? You got faith in the God who has all power. Why can't you have that kind of relationship with the poorest members of your church? I'm going to look at the live chat now and see what the brothers and sisters are saying. And welcome to all of you. See, Brother Walker is here. Blessings to you, Brother Walker, and to your family. Shalom. Sister Bunny is here. Good to see you here, Sister Bunny. Brother Willie is here. Yeah, blessings to you too, brother. My wife was mentioning a short while ago about the storm, and we got two large dogs outside, and boy, they're going to probably tear up the house if I let them inside. But I've got to do something to try and protect them. But so far, I haven't seen any signs of any inclement weather. So we're praying that it will go around. But whatever, God willing, we're going to deal with it. Brother Walker says condemnation is a part of our world. I've found and learned that if a black person, man or woman, would be judged negatively because they may be poor, doesn't mean they are ignorant, definitely. And if we are not poor, it doesn't mean that we are knowledgeable of the things that we should know. And Paul says, even when we know some things, we don't know anything that we ought to know. And that's one of the reasons I'm trying to encourage people to talk to each other more, to exchange information. We don't have to agree, but just exchange information. Somebody knows something other than me. Brother Walker says the only church that reached out to me was a Hispanic church in Albuquerque, New Mexico. When I let on that I had to relocate from a black church where I served as a song leader, the senior pastor told me, good luck. Brother Barry, empathy is the true sign of judging. Put yourself in my place. Imagine how I feel, if only for a moment. And I believe, I really do. I believe, and not only was Jesus trying to tell us not to condemn each other by appearance, but take the time to try to get to see what's going on with the person before you condemn the person. And that's why I can't understand, how can you worship right next to somebody for 50 years and that person lose their job? And you know what's going to happen? If that person loses their job, you're not a fool. They're not going to be able to pay their rent. So they're going to lose their house. You see this happening, but you've been worshiping inside this person for 50 years, and you think Jesus is going to come back and get you and take you to heaven? You got to be crazy, or I'm crazy. Why are the pastors expecting to get a paycheck after they retire? How much is enough? I don't know, brother. Some of them shouldn't get a paycheck now. They don't do that much work, and whatever work they do, they create their own schedules, their own work in most churches, especially the ones that I know about. They should work 40 hours a week. Blessings, brother, and be safe out there. I will, brother. You all be safe where you are. And a sister told me years ago, the same God, one over here is over there. So, the Creator knows what's going on, and a lot of people are in danger. And it's amazing that we are blessed to be able to close our eyes and rest now and then from the wear and tear of the day. And all of this trouble is still going on. People are still fighting in Russia and Ukraine, Afghanistan, Iraq, and other places. There's all kinds of things going on. Fires in Mexico, fires in Canada, fires in California and other places, storms, hunger, homelessness. These things are going on. The Bible talks about things like this. I don't know if that's why they're happening, is because they're in the Bible, but they are happening. But what I'm talking about, no matter what's happening, I believe you and I can do something to make things a little bit better for somebody else. And we're not always going to get repaid from that person. But if we think in our lives, at some point in our lives, somebody did something for me. When I couldn't do it for myself, somebody stepped up and did something for me, and that helped me to get to the next level. Do preachers actually believe they are going to heaven? They'll be in the fire before all sinners. Doesn't the money belong to our Creator? According to the scripture, the Bible, all things belong to God. And the preachers claim that the church belongs to God, that the money belongs to God, but they run it as if it's theirs. When people want to know, what do we do? Talk to the preacher. The preacher is the spokesperson. The preacher is somewhat the thermostat of the church, how things are going. And if you look over to the preacher and you see that the preacher has that gold ring that James talked about, that you come in and people give you a good seat, and the person come in and is ragged, you give the wrong seat. And when you look at him, you need to go to him and tell him, we got a brother or sister here who needs a job, they need food, they need transportation, they need an occupation, they need visitation, so they can come up, so that her husband can feel proud and have good high self-esteem like you do, and can serve like you do with a joyful heart. I guess that's all of the comments for today, and I thank you all so much. I usually don't go this long, but I'm glad to be here, glad you all are there. And I know I'm not solving any problems, but I believe that we continue to talk to each other with sense in any situation. I believe with God, all things are possible. Thank you.